In the year 2347, humanity had reached far beyond Earth. They had built ships that could travel between stars and formed friendships with many alien races. Among these aliens was the Galactic Empire, a huge and powerful group of planets ruled by strict laws. The Empire didn't care much for weaker species, but they tolerated humans because Earth's technology was impressive. Still, there was always tension between them. On a small space station near the edge of human territory, a young woman named Sarah Mitchell worked as a diplomat. Her job was to keep peace between Earth and the Empire. Sarah was smart, brave, and kind. She believed in solving problems through talking instead of fighting. Everyone respected her, even the aliens she worked with. But Sarah didn't know that her life was about to change forever. One evening, Sarah attended a meeting aboard an Imperial cruiser. It was supposed to be a routine discussion about trade agreements. The room was cold and metallic, like most places owned by the Empire. Sarah sat across from Captain Vorthak, a tall and imposing alien with dark green skin and sharp eyes. He was known for being cruel and quick to anger. Beside him were two other officers, their expressions unreadable. As the meeting went on, Sarah noticed something strange. One of the documents on the table mentioned plans to take over several colonies near Earth. These colonies belonged to humanity, not the Empire. If the plan succeeded, it would mean war. Sarah tried to stay calm, pretending she hadn't seen anything unusual. But inside, her heart raced. She knew she had to tell someone back on Earth. When the meeting ended, Sarah hurried to her quarters. She locked the door behind her and pulled out a small device. It was a recorder used to send messages securely. As she began typing a report, she heard footsteps outside. Someone was coming. Before she could finish, the door burst open. Captain Vorthak stormed in, his face twisted with rage. "You saw the documents," he growled, stepping closer. "You weren't supposed to." Sarah backed away, clutching the recorder tightly. "This is wrong," she said, trying to sound braver than she felt. "If you attack those colonies, innocent people will die." Vorthak sneered. "Your opinion doesn't matter. You're just a weak human." He turned to one of his officers. "Get rid of her." "No," Sarah shouted, but it was too late. The officer grabbed her arm and dragged her toward the airlock. She struggled, kicking and screaming, but it was useless. With a cold flick of a switch, the airlock opened, and Sarah was sucked into the vacuum of space. Her body floated away, lifeless, as the cruiser moved on without a trace. Back on Earth, no one knew what had happened. The Empire claimed Sarah's death was an accident, a malfunction during routine maintenance. They sent a formal apology, saying they were sorry for the unfortunate incident. But Sarah's family and friends weren't convinced. Something didn't feel right. Ryan Carter, an investigator working for Earth's Intelligence Division, started looking into Sarah's death. He was a quiet man with a sharp mind and a strong sense of justice. His partner, Lisa Monroe, helped him gather clues. Together, they uncovered encrypted messages exchanged between the Empire's leaders. The messages hinted at a cover-up. "This isn't an accident," Ryan told Lisa one night as they reviewed the evidence. "They killed her on purpose." Lisa nodded grimly. "We need to prove it. Otherwise, no one will believe us." Their investigation led them to Admiral Gregory Hayes, the leader of Earth's military forces. When Ryan showed him the evidence, Hayes frowned deeply. He knew this meant trouble. Confronting the Empire would be dangerous, but ignoring the crime would make Earth look weak. "We can't let this go unanswered," Hayes said finally. "Prepare the asterisk, U.S. Invincible asterisk. We're sending a message to the Empire, one they won't forget." And so, the stage was set for a clash between Earth and the mighty Galactic Empire. What started as a single act of violence would soon grow into something much bigger, a test of courage, strength, and humanity's place among the stars. Ryan Carter and Lisa Monroe worked tirelessly to uncover the truth about Sarah Mitchell's death. They spent long hours in a dimly lit office, surrounded by screens displaying encrypted files and maps of the Galactic Empire's territory. The more they dug, the clearer it became that Sarah's death wasn't an accident. It was murder. One night, Ryan leaned back in his chair and rubbed his tired eyes. "We got enough to prove the Empire lied," he said, "but proving they killed her on purpose is another story." Lisa nodded, her fingers flying over the keyboard. "If we can connect Captain Vorthak to the Order, we'll have our proof." They found a key piece of evidence hidden deep within the Empire's communication logs. It was a message from Vorthak to his superiors, written shortly after Sarah's death. In it, he mentioned the human diplomat and assured them that the situation had been handled. The tone of the message was cold and calculating, leaving no doubt that Sarah's death was deliberate. "This is it," Ryan said, pointing at the screen. "This proves they silenced her because she knew too much." But having the evidence wasn't enough. They needed someone powerful to act on it. That's when they decided to take their findings to Admiral Gregory Hayes, the commander of Earth's military forces. Admiral Hayes was known for being tough but fair. If anyone could push for justice, it was him. When Ryan and Lisa arrived at headquarters, they were led into a large office with a view of the stars. Admiral Hayes sat behind a polished desk, his sharp eyes studying them as they entered. Ryan placed a data chip on the table and explained everything they had discovered. "The Empire killed Sarah Mitchell to cover up their plans," Ryan said firmly. "If we don't respond, they'll think they can get away with anything." Hayes listened carefully, his expression unreadable. When Ryan finished, the Admiral leaned forward, resting his elbows on the desk. "You're asking me to start a war," he said quietly. "No, sir," Lisa replied. "We're asking you to stand up for one of our own. If we stay silent, what message does that send? That we're weak? That we don't care?" Hayes sighed deeply. He knew they were right, but the risks were enormous. The Galactic Empire was far stronger than Earth. A direct confrontation could lead to disaster. Still, ignoring the crime would make Earth look powerless in the eyes of the galaxy. After a moment of silence, Hayes made his decision. "Prepare the asterisk U.S. Invincible asterisk," he ordered. "I'll speak to President Dawson about this. We need to show the Empire that humanity won't tolerate such actions." The news spread quickly through Earth's government. President Elizabeth Dawson called an emergency meeting with her advisors. Some argued for caution, warning that provoking the Empire could mean destruction. Others insisted that doing nothing would only invite more aggression. "We didn't come this far just to bow down to bullies," President Dawson said firmly during the meeting. "Sarah Mitchell deserves justice, and so does every human who might suffer if we let this slide." With her approval, the plan moved forward. The asterisk U.S. Invincible asterisk, Earth's most advanced starship, was chosen for the mission. Its crew was made up of the best officers and engineers in the fleet. Leading them was Captain Eric Dawson, a man known for his calm demeanor and strategic mind. Captain Dawson gathered his team for a briefing. He stood in front of a holographic map of the Empire's territory, explaining the situation. "Our goal isn't to start a war," he said. "It's to demand answers and hold the Empire accountable. If they refuse, we'll make sure they regret it." Chief Engineer Marcus Lee raised his hand. "What happens if they attack us, sir?" Dawson smiled faintly. "Then we fight back. But let's hope it doesn't come to that." As the crew prepared for the mission, tensions ran high. Everyone knew the stakes. The Galactic Empire wasn't just any opponent. It was a force that had crushed entire civilizations. Yet there was also a sense of determination. For the first time in years, humanity felt united. This wasn't just about Sarah Mitchell anymore. It was about standing up for what was right. Before leaving, Captain Dawson visited Sarah's family. Her parents welcomed him into their home, their faces filled with sadness but also hope. "Bring her justice," Sarah's mother said, tears in her eyes. "I promise," Dawson replied. "We won't let her down." With those words, the asterisk U.S. Invincible asterisk launched into space, carrying not just a crew but the hopes of an entire planet. The journey ahead would be dangerous, but failure wasn't an option. Humanity had taken its first step toward confronting the mighty Galactic Empire, and nothing would ever be the same again. The *US Invincible Asterisk hummed with energy as it prepared for its journey into hostile space. Captain Eric Dawson stood on the bridge, watching his crew work with precision. Each person had a role to play, and everyone understood the importance of the mission. The ship was Earth's greatest weapon, but it was also its greatest hope. If they failed, the consequences would be catastrophic. Before leaving, Dawson gathered his senior officers in the briefing room. Around the table sat Chief Engineer Marcus Lee, Weapons Specialist Samantha Brooks, Navigator Alex Grant, and Communications Officer Laura Bennett. They were some of the best minds in the fleet, handpicked for this dangerous task. "Our mission is clear," Dawson began, pacing slowly. "We're going to confront the Empire about Sarah Mitchell's death. We'll demand answers and accountability. But remember, we're not here to start a war. Our goal is peace, through strength if necessary." Marcus Lee leaned forward, frowning slightly. "Sir, how do we avoid provoking them? One wrong move, and they could attack us." Dawson nodded. "That's why we'll use stealth tactics. Alex, I need you to plot a course that keeps us out of their main patrol routes. Laura, monitor all communications. If they spot us early, we'll lose the element of surprise." "Yes, sir," Alex replied, already mentally mapping the safest path through enemy territory. Samantha Brooks chimed in, her voice steady. "What about weapons? Should we prepare for combat?" "Absolutely," Dawson said firmly, "but only as a last resort. Marcus, make sure the shields and engines are ready for anything. Samantha, double-check the weapon systems. We don't want any surprises if things go south." As the meeting ended, each officer returned to their station, focused on their tasks. The mood aboard the ship was tense but determined. Everyone knew the risks, but they also believed in their mission. This wasn't just about avenging Sarah. It was about protecting humanity's future. Hours later, the *US Invincible Asterisk slipped into the vastness of space, heading toward the Empire's territory. The journey wasn't easy. Enemy patrols roamed the area, and surveillance drones scanned for intruders. The crew worked tirelessly to stay hidden, using every trick at their disposal. At one point, Alex Grant noticed a group of Imperial ships approaching their position. His hands moved quickly over the controls, adjusting the ship's trajectory. "Captain, we've got company," he reported, his voice calm despite the danger. Dawson hurried to the navigation console. "Can we evade them?" Alex nodded. "I think so, sir. There's an asteroid field nearby. If we pass through it carefully, they might lose track of us." "Do it," Dawson ordered. "Laura, jam their sensors while we slip past." For several tense minutes, the crew held their breath as the Invincible Asterisk maneuvered through the dense field of rocks. The Imperial ships passed by without detecting them, unaware that their prey was hiding just beyond their reach. When the danger passed, the crew let out a collective sigh of relief. "Good work, Alex," Dawson said, clapping him on the shoulder. "That was close." Despite the challenges, morale remained high. Captain Dawson made a point to visit different sections of the ship, talking to the crew and offering encouragement. He reminded them why they were there, not just to face the Empire, but to stand up for what was right. In the engineering bay, Marcus Lee worked alongside his team, ensuring the ship's systems ran smoothly. "This is the biggest test of our lives," he told his assistant, a young engineer named Jake. "If we hold together, we can handle anything." Meanwhile, Samantha Brooks tested the weapons systems, running simulations to ensure everything functioned perfectly. "We may not want to fight," she muttered to herself, "but if we do, we'll be ready." As days turned into weeks, the Invincible Asterisk drew closer to the heart of the Empire's domain. The crew grew quieter, knowing that the hardest part of the mission lay ahead. But even in silence, There was resolve. They had trained for this moment, and they wouldn't falter now. Finally, the ship reached its destination, a heavily fortified system where the Empire's central command was located. From here, they would send their ultimatum: admit to Sarah Mitchell's murder and provide justice, or face the consequences. Captain Dawson stood on the bridge, staring at the stars outside the viewport. "This is it," he said softly. "No turning back now." The crew exchanged glances, their expressions a mix of fear and determination. They were ready. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. The *US Invincible * had reached the edge of the Galactic Empire's central command system. It was a dangerous place, filled with heavily armed ships and advanced defense systems. The crew knew they were surrounded by enemies, but their mission depended on staying hidden until the right moment. Captain Eric Dawson stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the screens showing the Imperial fleet. "We need to send our message soon," he said. "But first, we have to make sure they don't detect us." Navigator Alex Grant worked tirelessly at his console, plotting a path that avoided the densest areas of enemy activity. "There's an opening near the third moon," he reported. "If we move carefully, we can get close enough to transmit without being spotted." "Good," Dawson replied. "Laura, prepare the communication array. We'll send the ultimatum from there." Communications Officer Laura Bennett nodded and began setting up the equipment. She double-checked the encryption codes to ensure the message couldn't be traced back to the ship. "Ready when you are, Captain," she said after a few minutes. Dawson took a deep breath. He turned to Chief Engineer Marcus Lee. "Marcus, how are the shields holding?" "They're stable," Marcus replied. "But if they detect us, we'll need more than shields to survive." "We won't let it come to that," Dawson said firmly. "Alex, take us in." The Invincible moved silently through space, its engines running at minimal power to avoid detection. The tension on the bridge was thick, and everyone held their breath as the ship approached the designated location. So far, so good. Once in position, Laura activated the transmitter. The message was simple but powerful. "To the leaders of the Galactic Empire, this is Captain Eric Dawson of the United Systems Alliance Starship Invincible *. We demand accountability for the murder of Sarah Mitchell, a human diplomat under your protection. If you refuse to admit your crime and provide justice, we will take action to defend humanity's honor." As soon as the message was sent, Laura powered down the transmitter. "Message delivered," she said quietly. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, alarms blared across the bridge. "They've detected us," Alex shouted, his fingers flying over the controls. "Raise shields," Dawson ordered. "Get us out of here." The Imperial ships reacted quickly, sending fighters to intercept the Invincible *. Weapons specialist Samantha Brooks sprang into action, firing the ship's defensive turrets to hold off the attackers. "They're fast," she muttered, her eyes glued to the targeting screen. "But not faster than us." "Hold steady," Dawson commanded. "We're not here to fight. Yet." Alex maneuvered the ship skillfully, dodging blasts from the enemy fighters. The crew worked together like a well-oiled machine, each person focused on their task. Despite the chaos, there was no panic. They had trained for situations like this. Chief Engineer Marcus Lee monitored the ship's systems, making adjustments to keep everything running smoothly. "Shields are holding," he called out. "But we can't take too many hits." "Keep moving, Alex," Dawson urged. "Find another route out of here." Just as things seemed dire, Alex spotted an opportunity. A nearby nebula offered cover, and he steered the ship toward it. The swirling clouds of gas and dust made it difficult for the Imperial sensors to track them. Slowly but surely, the Invincible * slipped away from its pursuers. When they were finally safe, the crew let out a collective sigh of relief. "That was too close," Laura said, wiping sweat from her brow. "But we did it," Dawson reminded them. "We delivered our message and lived to tell the tale." Back in the heart of the Empire, The leaders received the transmission. Captain Vorthak was furious, slamming his fist on the table. How dare they challenge us? He snarled. They think a single ship can intimidate the Empire. One of the other officers spoke up cautiously. Sir, the humans are growing bolder. Ignoring them might only encourage further aggression. Vorthak glared at him. We'll crush them. Send reinforcements to the border. If they want to fight, we'll give them one. Meanwhile, aboard the Invincible Asterisk, the crew prepared for what came next. They had expected the Empire to respond with hostility, but now they faced a new question. Would Earth's government support them if war broke out? President Elizabeth Dawson addressed the public in a broadcast, explaining the situation. The Galactic Empire murdered one of our own and tried to cover it up, she said. We demanded justice, and they refused. Humanity will not stand idly by while others trample our rights. We are ready to defend ourselves. Her words inspired millions. People around the world rallied behind the Invincible Asterisk and its crew. Flags were raised, and messages of support poured in from every corner of Earth. Captain Dawson watched the broadcast in his quarters, feeling both pride and responsibility. This isn't just about us anymore, he thought. It's about all of humanity. The journey ahead would be even harder, but the crew of the Invincible Asterisk was ready. They had proven they could face the Empire and survive. Now they would show the galaxy that humanity wasn't afraid to stand up for itself, even against the mightiest foe. The message sent by the Invincible Asterisk had shaken the Galactic Empire to its core. For decades, the Empire had ruled with an iron fist, crushing any who dared oppose them. No one, not even the most powerful alien races, had ever challenged their authority so boldly. And now, a single human starship had done just that. Captain Vorthak paced furiously in the command center of the Empire's flagship. His sharp green face was twisted with anger as he stared at the screen replaying Earth's ultimatum. They think they can threaten us, he growled, turning to his officers. Do they truly believe we'll bow to such insolence? One of the officers, a nervous-looking alien named Tarnak, hesitated before speaking. Sir, perhaps it would be wise to consider their demands. The humans are gaining support from other species. If we ignore them, it could lead to unrest within our own borders. Vorthak slammed his fist on the table. Silence. We are the Galactic Empire. We do not negotiate with weaklings. He turned to another officer. Prepare the fleet. I want every available ship ready to crush this pathetic attempt at defiance. As the Empire mobilized its forces, news of Earth's challenge spread across the galaxy. Neutral factions watched nervously, unsure of what would happen next. Some admired humanity's bravery, while others feared the conflict would escalate into all-out war. Back on Earth, President Elizabeth Dawson addressed her people once more. We did not seek this confrontation, she said firmly during a live broadcast, but we will not back down. The murder of Sarah Mitchell cannot go unpunished. Humanity stands united, and we will protect our rights, even if it means facing the mightiest empire in the stars. Her words resonated deeply with the citizens of Earth. Cities lit up with rallies, and volunteers flooded recruitment centers, eager to join the military. Factories worked around the clock to produce weapons and supplies for the growing fleet. Humanity was preparing for the worst, but hoping for the best. Meanwhile, aboard the Invincible Asterisk, Captain Eric Dawson and his crew waited anxiously for the Empire's response. They knew it wouldn't be long before the enemy arrived in full force. Every moment spent waiting felt like an eternity. We've got company, Alex Grant announced suddenly from the navigation console. On the main screen, dozens of Imperial ships appeared, surrounding the Invincible Asterisk. Their massive forms loomed menacingly, blocking any chance of escape. Dawson stood tall, his voice steady as he addressed his crew. This is it. Stay focused. Remember why we're here. The lead Imperial vessel hailed them, and Captain Vorthak's scowling face filled the screen. You dare trespass in our territory." He spat. "Leave now, or you will regret it." Dawson met his glare without flinching. "We came seeking justice for Sarah Mitchell. Admit your crime, and we'll leave peacefully." Vorthak laughed coldly. "Justice? You speak of justice while threatening us with violence. Very well. If you wish to die for your arrogance, so be it." Without warning, the Imperial ships opened fire. Bright beams of energy streaked through space, striking the Invincible's shields. Alarms blared across the bridge as the crew sprang into action. Shields holding at 80%, Marcus Lee reported from engineering. But they won't last long under sustained fire. "Return fire," Dawson ordered. "Target their weapon systems." Samantha Brooks unleashed a barrage of counterattacks, her fingers flying over the controls. The Invincible's cannons roared to life, sending precise blasts toward the nearest Imperial ships. One enemy vessel exploded in a brilliant flash of light, while others reeled from the damage. "Nice shot." Alex cheered, dodging incoming fire with expert maneuvers. The Invincible twisted and turned, narrowly avoiding devastating hits. Its sleek design and advanced technology gave it an edge against the larger, slower Imperial ships. Despite being outnumbered, the crew fought with determination. Laura Bennett intercepted enemy communications, relaying vital information to Dawson. "They're coordinating attacks from the flagship," she said urgently. "If we disable it, the rest may fall into disarray." "Understood," Dawson replied. "Alex, get us closer to the flagship. Samantha, focus everything we've got on their engines." The Invincible surged forward, weaving through the chaos of battle. Enemy ships fired relentlessly, but the crew's teamwork kept them alive. Finally, they reached the flagship, and Samantha unleashed a devastating volley of torpedoes. The massive vessel shuddered under the assault, its engines erupting in flames. With their leader crippled, the remaining Imperial ships began retreating. The battle was over. For now. On the bridge, the crew erupted into cheers. "We did it," Alex exclaimed, slumping back in his chair. Dawson allowed himself a small smile. "We held our ground. But this isn't the end. The Empire won't forgive this humiliation. We need to prepare for what comes next." As the Invincible limped away from the battlefield, its crew patched up the damage and tended to the wounded. Though victorious, they knew the fight was far from over. The Galactic Empire had been humiliated, and it would seek revenge. Humanity's courage had been proven, but the cost of standing up to tyranny was still unknown. For now, however, the crew celebrated their hard-fought victory. They had faced the mightiest empire in the galaxy, and won. The victory of the Invincible sent shockwaves through the galaxy. News of the battle spread quickly, reaching every corner of known space. Neutral species watched in awe as humanity stood up to the mighty Galactic Empire. For years, the Empire had ruled with fear and intimidation, crushing any resistance without mercy. But now, a single human starship had challenged them, and won. Back on Earth, people celebrated the triumph. Cities erupted in cheers, and flags waved proudly in the streets. President Elizabeth Dawson addressed the public once more, her voice filled with pride. "Today, we showed the galaxy that humanity will not bow to tyranny," she declared. "But this is only the beginning. We must remain united and ready for whatever comes next." While Earth rejoiced, tensions simmered within the Galactic Empire. Captain Vorthak's defeat was seen as an embarrassment, and Emperor Zorath demanded answers. In the Grand Hall of the Imperial Palace, Vorthak knelt before his ruler, his head bowed low. "My Emperor," Vorthak began, his voice trembling, "the humans are stronger than we anticipated. Their technology is advanced, and their resolve is unshakable." Zorath leaned forward in his throne, his piercing eyes fixed on Vorthak. "You failed me," he said coldly. "Failure has consequences. Before Vorthek could respond, guards dragged him away, leaving the other officers to discuss their next move. One senator, a cautious alien named Callus, spoke up. "Perhaps we should consider diplomacy," he suggested. "The humans have proven they are not easily intimidated. If we continue this conflict, it may weaken us further." Another officer, General Ruchter, scoffed. "Diplomacy? With humans? They are beneath us. We should crush them completely." Callus shook his head. "Crushing them will require resources we cannot afford to waste. Other species are already questioning our authority. If we appear weak, rebellions may rise within our own borders." The debate continued, but one thing was clear: the Empire could not ignore humanity any longer. Reluctantly, Emperor Zorath agreed to send a message to Earth, a thinly veiled attempt at negotiation. The message read, "The Galactic Empire acknowledges your grievances. A meeting will be arranged to discuss terms of peace." On the U.S. Invincible *, Captain Eric Dawson received the message with skepticism. He gathered his senior officers in the briefing room to discuss their options. "This could be a trap," Samantha Brooks warned. "They're trying to buy time to rebuild their forces." Dawson nodded. "I agree. But if we refuse, we'll look like the aggressors. We need to play this carefully." Laura Bennett chimed in. "What if we use the meeting to gather intelligence? We can learn more about their weaknesses while keeping our guard up." "That's a good idea," Dawson said. "We'll attend the meeting, but we'll bring reinforcements. Admiral Hayes can position ships nearby in case things go wrong." As plans were made, Ambassador Laura Bennett prepared for the diplomatic encounter. She worked closely with President Dawson to craft a strong stance. "We won't back down," Laura said firmly. "If they want peace, they'll have to admit what they did to Sarah Mitchell." Meanwhile, aboard the Invincible *, the crew remained vigilant. Marcus Lee and his team worked tirelessly to repair the damage from the previous battle. "We're lucky to still be flying," Marcus muttered as he inspected the hull. "If we face them again, we'll need every advantage we can get." Alex Grant studied maps of the proposed meeting location, a neutral planet called Arcturus IV. "It's heavily fortified," he reported, "but there are escape routes if we need them." The day of the meeting arrived, and the U.S. Invincible * approached Arcturus IV cautiously. Escort ships stayed hidden in nearby asteroid fields, ready to intervene if necessary. On the surface, Ambassador Laura Bennett met with representatives of the Galactic Empire. The atmosphere was tense, with both sides exchanging sharp words. "You killed one of our own," Laura said, her voice steady. "Justice must be served." The Imperial Ambassador, a tall alien named Voreth, sneered. "Your accusations are baseless. We demand you withdraw your fleet immediately." Laura didn't flinch. "Withdrawal isn't an option. Not until you admit the truth." The talks dragged on for hours, neither side willing to budge. But behind the scenes, Laura and her team uncovered valuable information. They learned that internal divisions within the Empire were growing, with some factions secretly opposing Zorath's rule. When the meeting ended, no agreement had been reached. As the Invincible * returned to its fleet, Laura reported her findings to Captain Dawson. "They're weaker than they seem," she said. "If we strike strategically, we might be able to force their hand." Dawson considered this carefully. "We've pushed them to their limits," he said finally. "But war isn't our goal. Let's keep the pressure on and see how they react." Back on Earth, President Dawson addressed the Senate. "The Empire is divided," she explained. "If we stay united, we can end this conflict on our terms." Across the galaxy, whispers of rebellion began spreading among oppressed species under the Empire's control. Humanity's courage inspired others to dream of freedom. Though the fight was far from over, hope was alive, and it burned brighter than ever. The crew of the U.S. Invincible * returned to their fleet with newfound determination. Though the meeting on Arcturus IV had ended without resolution, they had gathered valuable intelligence. The Galactic Empire was weaker than it appeared, and cracks were forming within its ranks. Captain Eric Dawson knew this was an opportunity, but also a risk. "We've got one shot at this," Dawson said during a briefing with his senior officers. "If we push too hard, the Empire might retaliate with everything they've got. But if we play our cards right, we can weaken them enough to force peace." Samantha Brooks leaned forward, her expression serious. "What's the plan, sir?" Dawson pointed to a holographic map floating above the table. "We hit their supply lines. Without resources, their fleet will struggle to fight back. And according to Laura's intel, some of their colonies are already restless. If we strike strategically, we might spark revolts inside their territory." Marcus Lee raised his hand cautiously. "Sir, what about reinforcements? We can't do this alone." "Agreed," Dawson replied. "Admiral Hayes is sending additional ships to support us. They'll stay hidden until we need them." As preparations continued, tensions aboard the Invincible grew. Everyone knew the stakes were higher than ever. A single mistake could mean disaster, not just for the crew, but for all of humanity. Still, there was no turning back. The crew worked tirelessly, repairing damaged systems and stocking weapons. Morale remained strong, fueled by the belief that they were fighting for something greater than themselves. Meanwhile, whispers of betrayal began to surface. Unbeknownst to the crew, someone aboard the Invincible had been secretly communicating with the Empire. It was Lieutenant Harris, a young officer who had grown disillusioned with Earth's defiance. He believed humanity couldn't win against the Empire, and feared the consequences of continued resistance. Late one night, Harris slipped into the communications room and transmitted sensitive data to the Empire. The information included details about the planned attack on their supply lines and the location of Earth's reinforcements. When he finished, he erased all traces of his actions and returned to his quarters, guilt gnawing at him but unable to change his mind. Back at the Empire's command center, Captain Vorthek received the transmission with satisfaction. "So the humans think they can outsmart us," he sneered. "They're walking straight into a trap." Vorthek immediately ordered his forces to set up ambushes along the routes the Invincible intended to target. Imperial ships took position, waiting silently in the darkness of space. Confident in their advantage, the Empire prepared to crush the human fleet once and for all. On the Invincible Alex Grant plotted the course for the mission. "This route should keep us clear of patrols," he said, pointing to the map. "But I'll monitor sensors closely, just in case." "Good work," Dawson said. "Stay sharp. Something doesn't feel right." Hours later, as the Invincible approached the first supply depot, alarms blared across the bridge. Enemy ships emerged from hiding, surrounding the human fleet. Caught off guard, the crew scrambled to respond. "They knew we were coming," Samantha shouted, her hands flying over the weapon controls. "It's an ambush." Dawson clenched his jaw. "Raise shields. Return fire. Alex, get us out of here." The battle erupted in chaos. The Imperial ships fired relentlessly, their superior numbers overwhelming the smaller human fleet. Despite their training, the crew of the Invincible struggled to hold their ground. Shields flickered dangerously low, and explosions rocked the ship. In engineering, Marcus Lee worked frantically to reroute power to critical systems. "We're losing structural integrity," he called out. "If we don't stabilize soon, we won't make it." Just when it seemed all hope was lost, Admiral Hayes' reinforcements arrived. Hidden ships jumped into the fray, catching the Empire off guard. The tide of the battle shifted as the combined human fleet fought back fiercely. Captain Dawson seized the moment. "Alex, plot a course to regroup with the others. Samantha, focus fire on their flagship." With renewed strength, the human fleet pushed forward. Explosions lit up the void of space as Imperial ships retreated, unable to withstand the unexpected counterattack. Though battered and bruised, the humans emerged victorious. After the battle, Dawson confronted the truth about Lieutenant Harris. Evidence revealed his betrayal, and Harris was arrested. Guilt-ridden, he confessed everything, claiming he had acted out of fear for humanity's survival. Dawson sighed heavily. Fear almost cost us everything today, but we didn't give up, and neither will humanity. Though shaken, the crew pressed on, knowing their fight was far from over. The Empire had been weakened, but it wasn't defeated yet. Humanity's courage had inspired allies across the galaxy, and together, they would face whatever came next. The aftermath of the battle left the *US Invincible * battered but not broken. The crew worked tirelessly to repair the ship, patching up damaged hulls and restoring critical systems. Despite their exhaustion, there was a sense of pride among them. They had faced overwhelming odds and survived. But Captain Eric Dawson knew the war wasn't over yet. The Empire was wounded, but it still had teeth. Back on Earth, President Elizabeth Dawson addressed the Senate, her voice firm but hopeful. "We've shown the galaxy that humanity will not back down," she said, "but the fight for justice is far from finished. We must remain united and prepared for whatever comes next." Across the galaxy, the Galactic Empire struggled to recover. Emperor Zoreth was furious, pacing angrily in his throne room as advisors delivered grim reports. Supplies were running low, and unrest was spreading like wildfire through their colonies. Some planets had already begun revolting, inspired by humanity's defiance. "We cannot sustain this conflict," Senator Kalis warned during an emergency meeting. "Our resources are stretched thin, and morale is collapsing. If we continue fighting, the Empire will crumble." General Rokter slammed his fist on the table. "Cowards, we must crush the humans completely." Zoreth silenced them both with a glare. "Enough. This has gone on long enough. Send another message to Earth, this time one of peace." Reluctantly, the Empire drafted a formal apology, admitting to Sarah Mitchell's murder and offering reparations. It was a rare moment of humility for the once arrogant regime. When the message reached Earth, President Dawson gathered her advisors to discuss the offer. "This could be our chance to end this peacefully," Ambassador Laura Bennett said. "If we accept, it sets a precedent. The Empire will think twice before harming anyone else." Others were more cautious. Admiral Gregory Hayes frowned deeply. "It's possible this is just another trick. How do we know they won't turn on us later?" President Dawson weighed the options carefully. Finally, she nodded. "We'll accept their apology, but only if they agree to independent oversight. Other species can monitor their actions to ensure they keep their word." The terms were sent to the Empire, who reluctantly agreed. Though humiliated, Emperor Zoreth recognized that further resistance would only lead to collapse. A public ceremony was arranged on a neutral planet, where representatives from both sides signed a treaty marking the end of hostilities. As news of the treaty spread, celebrations erupted across Earth. People cheered in the streets, waving flags and lighting fireworks. Humanity had stood up to the mightiest empire in the galaxy, and won. For the first time in years, there was hope for lasting peace. On board the *US Invincible *, the crew reflected on all they had been through. Captain Dawson visited each section of the ship, thanking his team for their bravery and dedication. "None of this would have been possible without you," he said. "You've made history." Samantha Brooks smiled faintly as she checked the weapon systems one last time. "Feels strange knowing we don't have to fight anymore." Marcus Lee chuckled, tightening a bolt in the engine room. "For now, at least. Let's enjoy it while it lasts." Alex Grant gazed at the stars from the navigation console. "Do you think the Empire will really change?" Dawson shrugged. "Time will tell. But if they try anything, we'll be ready." Before returning home, the Invincible made a stop at Sarah Mitchell's family home. Dawson personally delivered the news of the Empire's apology. Sarah's parents listened quietly, tears streaming down their faces. "Thank you," Sarah's mother whispered. She would be proud of what you've done." Dawson nodded solemnly. "She gave her life for justice. We couldn't let her sacrifice be in vain." When the Invincible finally returned to Earth, it was greeted as a hero. Crowds lined the spaceport, cheering as the crew disembarked. Reporters shouted questions, but Dawson simply raised a hand, silencing the noise. "This victory belongs to all of us," he said, "to every person who believed in standing up for what's right. Let this be a reminder. No matter how powerful the enemy, we are stronger when we stand together." In the weeks that followed, life began to return to normal, or as close to normal as it could after such an event. Humanity's place in the galaxy had changed forever. Other species saw Earth not as a minor player, but as a force to be reckoned with. Alliances were strengthened, and new friendships formed. Sarah Mitchell's name became a symbol of courage and justice. Memorials were built in her honor, and her story was taught to future generations. She had started as a single diplomat trying to make a difference, but her legacy sparked a movement that changed the galaxy. Though peace had been achieved, humanity remained vigilant. The crew of the US Invincible stayed ready, knowing that the universe was unpredictable. But for now, they allowed themselves to rest, to heal, and to dream of a brighter future. As the stars shone brightly in the night sky, Captain Dawson stood on the bridge of the Invincible, gazing out at the endless expanse of space. "We've come so far," he murmured to himself, "and this is only the beginning." Humanity had proven itself capable of greatness. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, with hope, determination, and unwavering resolve.